Alright class, I want to show you a couple different ways to do some image editing things here, especially the color. I don't feel like I did a great job on the color, so I'm going to show you two different ways. One is using levels and one is using curves. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate our background so that we can basically be able to go back. And specifically I'm going to work on layers. And this is basically so that if I mess this layers up here and I'm working up here, I can delete this or turn it off and go back and have a starting point here. So really quick, levels, and that's found under Adjustment Layer Levels, which is Control L. On the Mac, it's Command L. Just a quick note, some browsers you may have some issues. Try a different browser. Hopefully that'll work. We did discuss in class basically changing the overall brightness values, being able to use your highlights here, your midtones here, and your shadows over here. And then this also can you reduce contrast on either side that way. But what I wanted to show you that I didn't get a chance to go over in class is actually fixing colors using levels. So we're going to change the channel from alternating or from tweaking the red, green, and blue channels all together to tweaking them at individual channels. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drag the white slider, the highlight slider, over to where the data starts. Okay, then we're going to do that for each channel, and at first it looks like, oh my gosh, this image looks horrible. But what we're really doing is showing it where white is, what white looks like in this image. So there's a pretty good kind of starting point there. I might leave that a little bit more towards the yellow side just because I like warmer images. And then, so that gives you a starting point, and then you can go in and tweak. See, if I bring this red up just a little bit, it gives a little more life up in here. You can also tweak these midtones if you want, but that gets a lot more complex. And other editors have better ways to do some of these things. But this will give you kind of a general idea. And then once you've gotten them all close, you can basically kind of fine-tune. And what you're looking for is the whites in here. You're trying to get this to actually look white, but you don't want it to be too overexposed. You want to have data here in this white. You want to be able to tweak that later. So that looks like a pretty good start for me. So I click that. Now you'll notice when we open our layers up again, levels up again, you'll notice that our histogram has changed. All these little lines in here, some of the data, there's not as much data in there because we've changed the image, and that's called posterization. We'll talk more about that in a little bit more of an advanced lecture on image editing. But for right now, you can see we've got a pretty good start. We've fixed some of the exposure issues. The midtones here still look a little bit dark, so we can bring that up just a little bit, and we might want to add a little contrast by bringing a little more black in there. So add a little black, and click OK if you want to see what we just did. So here's the first, that's what we started with. Then we went to there, and then we went to there. So that's a really great image. If you just crop this right now, that would probably be acceptable for most of the assignments. You could do a bit more of dodge and burn. You want to dodge this and maybe burn some of these little brighter areas in the background to get more of the emphasis on the face like we talked about in the lecture. So that's basically what you can do with levels and color correction. Now I'm going to show you another way to do it using curves. So we're going to go back to our original image here with the background. We're going to turn off the layers, and then we're going to change this, and we're going to call this curves. Okay, and then we're going to go up, and we're actually going to adjust the curves. So one of the things that you can do is you can find a white point, and basically by using this little thing, this little slider right here, it says sample image to set white point. Now if I click on it right here, that's obviously too bright. That doesn't work. So what I'm going to try to do is sample a different area. And I'm going to have to cancel and pull that back up again. So let's try to find a bright area that's white and click in it. So this over here is actually a little bit brighter than this right here. So we're going to try that and see what happens. That's pretty close. Sometimes you want to tweak it just a little bit. So with just one click, without having to adjust all the sliders, you can get pretty close. And just like the histogram, you can go in and you can adjust each one of these points if you want. So we could adjust the red to more or less. And of course we can adjust all along this as well. And if you want to pull up the histogram, that's showing you histogram for each channel now. We can basically tweak tweak this if we want. It's just, this is not as the clicking is intuitive, but the corresponding histograms, they don't make as much sense to me anyway. But that is an option. And then you can go through and you could basically tweak the brightness of the image here and just put a few points here, and so that looks like a pretty good color corrected image there. I increased the shadows a little bit. I increased the highlights over in here, and I might just want to add just a little bit of black. So if I drag that over a little bit, that's going to do that. So now let's see what we did with curves. So that's pretty good, really good actually. I'm pretty happy with that. Now let's just do a comparison to tweaking with curves versus tweaking with layers. So here's layers, here's curves. Some of that's just a little bit of a finite difference in layers. Anyway, that gives you a little bit of a background in tweaking colors and kind of setting a white point in there. And this is, of course, in addition to some of the other tools that are available, like color balance. You can tweak this. Sorry, here that's not going to show up because that's going to be on the correct layer here. That's vibrance, my bad. Let's see, color balance. So you can go in and tweak this a little bit more, but doing that in levels just really helps you get a pretty close, rough color correction visually and know exactly what to do. And then you can go in and you can tweak the color balance just a little bit and really get what you want without having to guess where all the numbers should be, because you're doing it visually with that histogram and the white point. So hopefully this adds a little bit here so that you guys can actually color correct the image as you're starting. I do suggest doing the color correction part first. Then if you need to go into levels and adjust here a little bit more, then you could do that. If you do it the other way around, you might actually accidentally clip some of the color data that you need to then create a white point. So in order of operation here, I would suggest doing the individual channels first, then click OK, then do the RGB all at once. Whatever you're more comfortable with, curves or levels, that works. And then, of course, you would be saving this image here, and you'd be saving it as a JPEG. So that's a little bit here. Hopefully that helps. Good luck. Email me if you have any questions.